What is up, everybody? It's your boy Brendan, aka Drip from Team D.D.D, back with another video. In today's video, I have a 2.0 version of my Orcust Horus list, Horus Orcust, or whatever you want to, however you want to call it, for this fire format slash tier 0 format. I recently did my regionals list, and this list I think is going to be my permanent list, at least for the fire format, until another deck steps in the room or until we get a ban list. I really enjoy this list. I made pretty much just like one change, and then I changed my side deck too. So just with the slight changes, I've noticed a lot of like the ability to push while stopping my opponent at the same time, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll talk about more about that when we get there. Also, if you're like new to Orcust and you're wanting to learn how to play the deck, I don't know what video I'm going to release first, whether it's this one or the other video, but what I'm about to say is I'm going to be making a video on how to play Orcust, which people can also use to how to counter Orcust. It's always good to know what this deck does, because since Harp is legal now, you always have to be aware of it. Whether you go to an event or you're going to a new locals or whatever the case may be, you need to know what this deck does to be able to combat it or be able to play through other interruptions and stuff. Also, it's very good to know what this deck does anyways, because this deck is like, definitely now that we have Hardback, is just one of those decks that you can just pick up and play and know it's going to pretty much do well, because this deck doesn't really care about much of the hand traps in the format except for maybe Imperm. We don't care about Droll. We can play around Nib, or we can play through Nib. We don't care about Bell. Only time Bell hurts is one skeleton. Other than that, we don't really care that much. So this is just a very good overall meta call to play this format too. Is just another reason why I'm having a lot of fun with it compared to like my other decks that I like to typically play. But I went X1 with this list. Only loss was to Snake Eye Fire King, but my only loss was to Snake Eye Fire King, and that was basically I didn't draw a single hand trap, even though I played like 17, and then I sided in. I played 15, I think 15, yeah, 15, and I sided in 6 additional ones, and I only saw one board breaker, and it wasn't even a hand trap. Just goes to show that board breakers aren't really that great this format. And he just was just able to go full combo. So it's very frustrating. 41 card list, and I didn't draw a single hand trap out of, I think it was 18 or 20 that I had in the deck. Literally more than half of the deck, and I didn't draw a single one. Very frustrating, but what can you do? But either way, any other time, this deck typically just bodies Snake Eye. This deck just doesn't care about any of their stuff, really. But yeah, other than that, we're getting straight into this list. The list is fairly cookie cutter compared to my last list. I just made a couple of changes. But like I said, I do swear by this list. And I think you should play this list, honestly. 3 Girsu, 3 Nightmare. I like 3, not 2. I'll always run 2 Skeleton. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise. If you play 1, then you're just going to get out-grinded. Definitely when people start learning what the hell this deck does, the second skeleton will have a target on its back, because they'll let everything resolve and then just target this. What I mean by whether it's targeting with a card effect or just target this to be the interruption to stop, and then you just lose. Because you do get, yes, I don't give a crap about if you recycle crap properly, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Because there's some game states that you are just, it's uncontrollable. You can't stop it from happening, where you're forced to use this and then have to reattach this instead of breaking the board. So I like to have one in rotation, whether for Crow or for that kind of game state. And then 1 Harp, standard, 1 Wand. Typically I run 2, but since the addition of the Horus engine, we can easily just, worst case scenario, if they stop our Galatea from shuffling his back, then we can just reattach this with Girsu later on down the line, because it's not as important as Skeleton is. And then I am running the Brass. If you're not running Brass, you're just losing to Imperm Veilers, because the Imperm Veiler contain everything is everywhere right now. So this is just absolutely mandatory, because this helps you play through an Imperm Veiler, because you normal summon this, make make Link Karibo, banish this, summon Gearsu, and then even if they imperm this, you can still make Galatea, shuffle the brass back, and then you're fine. You're literally fine. But that's how that's why he's so important. Moving forward, the Horus engine. I play 4 names. You don't need to play more than that. You really don't. They're bricky. Any more than that. I tried running more, and they just got in the way of their utility cards. Yes, it was somewhat nice being able to play 2 rank 8s to be able to play around Nib if need be. So like you can make number 90 and then make Zombie Vampire, but it's not that needed. Then I am running maxing out on the King Sark because sometimes I like seeing this in my hand more than I do Imseti, because this is a starter more so than Imseti because they can Ash Imseti. So this just gets all the cards that you need out of your hand. If you play any less than 2, then I don't know what to tell you. I love you, but you're playing it wrong. Then I play 1 Armageddon Knight. I'm not playing Greffer. I personally don't like Greffer because every single time I draw a Greffer, I never draw an Orcust name, and then using Greffer to pitch a Imseti is just not optimal. Why would you want to pitch something just for it to potentially get Imperm or Veilered when you can use Imseti to be an Upstart Goblin +1 addition? Which, yes, that can get Ash, but still, either way. And on top of that, like, there's a lot of times when I play Greffer that I never had a Dark in hand, so that card was just annoying. I don't care if he's an extender, if like your Gearsu gets impermed. I really don't care. It's just not that good of a card. And then on to half our deck, hand traps, because this deck can play 2 full engines and still main 16 non-engine. It's juicy. 3 Ash. Don't care if it's fire format, still needed. 3 Nib, arguably the best hand trap this format. Another argument that this one's the bestest format. And then 3, I'm sorry, hit the camera. And then 3. I took the talents out and put in Mourner, and since I did that, dude, this deck, it felt so good because I hate having talents in hand when my opponent would never activate a hand trap. They would always imperm me, and it's like, okay, this is a dead card. But if I had a hand trap, I could at least have some kind of defense when my opponent tries to play. On top of that, shout outs to Pac, bro. I watched one of his videos where he was talking about how like with fire that you need 3 because the cross out trades 1 for 1. So then you need 2. You need to try to draw 3. So if you like have 3 in hand, one of them will trade with cross out, and then the other 2 will stop them. So that's literally what made me push to put the Mourners in. The Mourner was absolutely disgusting because this card in theory is Veiler and Imperm if timed properly, but also a time card because it puts him in a weird situation to where you can like hit any of the Fire King stuff. I'm not the Fire King stuff, but the Snake Out or Fire King stuff. And it puts them in an awkward situation where they can't really link it away, or they have to find enough extenders to get pushed through it to be able to get to Princess or whatever else they're trying to do without burning damage when it comes down to time. So like this card's just really good that way. If you're new to this card, don't misplay and cheat your opponent with this card with it like technically missing timing because it's a trigger effect. So just be aware of that, like of who has turn priority, etc., and stuff like that. So, but other than that, like if you can get that down pat, then this card is just absolutely nasty. I 110% really enjoy this card more than talents since I made the swap, and I really think this is the perfect hand trap lineup for this format, for the Fire Tier 0 format, and it's what I'm going to be running until we get a ban list or until something drastically changes. Then the Orcust stuff, I like 2 and 1, and then the 1 Crescendo. I like the second return. I know a lot of people think it's bricky, but I thoroughly enjoy it. It's Pot of Greed, and since we're running 15 hand traps, being able to send something from your hand to be able to draw into potential more hand traps is very, very juicy. Definitely considering this is more of a starter in my personal opinion than Greffer is. And I know that sounds weird because Greffer in theory is less situational than return, but this sends for cost. I mean, granted, so does the Greffer, but like, I don't know. I just like having the second return because it's Pot of Greed, and it allows you to dig deeper into hand trap. Because sometimes you get in those situations, like game states, to where like you don't have no card advantage in hand, all your stuff's on the field or in grave, and then you can, in mid game, if you already used one, set one of these off Galatea and then get right back into it. Like one time last night, I had no cards in hand. I used Galatea to set this, and then sent one and drew two, and I drew into a Mourner and an Ash with having Babel up in my graveyard full of Orcust with Dingirsu in there. And I was like, okay, I'm not losing this game. I'm truly not losing this game. So like it's stuff like that you got to be on the lookout for. And then the rest of the spells is one called by Foolish, and then the 41st card is Rhoda. You don't have to run this. I just wanted to run it for the consistency. I know it looks weird because you're running this but not Greffer, but so drawing this in tangent with Armageddon Knight is like not optimal. If you want to run a clean 40, then just cut this, and there's your 40, and it's juicy 40. I just wanted to, since I'm running like 15 non-engine, I just have PTSD from what happened to me at regionals. Because at regionals, with my regionals list when I was running talent, that was basically talent, and no Rhoda was literally the difference in the list. The main deck was. I drew all non-engine game 1 and 2. So I lost I basically just dropped around pretty much because I drew hand traps both games, and I had no consistency, which was very frustrating, which the odds of that happening, definitely game 1 and 2 is just slim to none. Definitely pile shuffling and siding some out it's just slim to none. But it's just called PTSD. But if you don't care about that, then just drop the Rhoda in your clean 40. Link Rebo, you need it. Galatea, you don't need 3. The game states never really come up. 20 need 3. But 2 Galatea standard. Dark, even though this is a fire format, you need this for a Rhoda sometimes. Sometimes you get in those awkward game states to where you don't draw engine, but you have Horus cards active, and then you use Vampire, and you still don't get into engine, because that crap happens to me all the time. So you make this. Even if they don't have Darks in hand or grave, you just make this with your Imseti and something else. Crash into their stuff, and then search Girsu off this. That's literally one of the only reasons in there. But if your opponent has a dark, like a witch or something, then you can use this to make your SP Little Knight. Api Masquerena, Little Knight, and then Long Girsu. What's really funny, like a lot of people still to this day don't put respect on Long Girsu's name, but this card is absolutely cracked. And a lot of game states, they're like, sometimes like when I make Api Masquerena and Galatea, a lot of people are like, all right, my homie gonna make Little Knight. Okay, I need to play around Little Knight and not commit that much. But they commit enough to like their normal summon and stuff. Like one time yesterday, I've done this multiple times, but I did it yet last night, for example. I went Masquerena effect, and I summoned Long Girsu instead of Little Knight, and then into like the other extra monster, and I just used the long effect of shuffle back 2 and then send their crap, and they just basically had to pass because they were too busy trying to play around the Little Knight instead of Long Girsu. People forget that you can actually make Long Girsu too. So that's actually it for the links. You don't need any link 4. Access code is trash in this deck. It literally frustrates me that people actually play that card. You're playing all dark link monsters. Have fun with 1 pop and not an OTK. And then I don't play Boral Sword because it requires 3+ monsters, and our Horus cards are already huge, so you can provide more damage with that and potentially crack a board more than with Boral Sword. Then also, I'm not running Topologic Zora Boros because I'm not running Gizmic Orochi because I don't like banishing my cards, because every time I do, I banish the precious ones. Never banish anything like the hand traps or anything I don't need. Gizmic's not really needed anymore now that you have the Horus engine. Now, if you're playing pure or a scrap version with no Horus, then Gizmic, yes. But no, not with the Horus cards, you don't need it. XZ monsters, 2 Dingirsu. It's been that way forever. Just 2 Dingirsu. 1 Lord because I still like playing around Nib. Some people don't. They like to spit in Nib's face. That's fine. I don't like to. Vampire because of consistency. Rank 8 Dweller, basically. You make this against Fire King with Galatea and Crescendo or Babel or whatever, and you just win. This card just wins. Mainly, actually, if you go this way, you can't go the Babel way because this locks you out from summoning 2. So if you go this plus Galatea, Crescendo, plus potential hand traps, you're not losing that game against Fire King. You're just not. And this card, too, can enable OTKs, too, because it gets really huge. then 1 Typhon, and then 1 Zeus. Big brother, little brother. Zeus is very good. I know it's a light, but you can just hard make Dingirsu to send 1 or bait out an interruption. And then with like 2 horse cards, and then just enter battle phase, attack with the Dingirsu, make this, clear the board. And then before you even commit your normal summon. It's really, really nice. And the last card in the extra deck is Savage. This card is legit Savage. This card wins me games all the time because no one sees it coming. We're running the brass. Why not? And making this mid-game is just really good. Because after we burn our crescendo, we don't really have any negates besides our hand traps. So, like, this just to be able to clean up the rest of the game is just really nice. It's not win more. Definitely in grindy games against, like, Fire King and stuff like that. So, just making that and him being huge to able push for games is just too nice to pass up on. Then the side deck, because this is a tournament list. 3 Bell. It's very good. It's very good against Fire Kings, very good against Labyrinth, it's very good against Voiceless. List goes on. Same thing goes for this. All 3 of the matchups that I mentioned, this is very good against. Voiceless, you hit the ritual spell, and you hit the one that rituals from grave, you're free. Labyrinth, you hit the furniture, or you hit the target for the transaction rollback. You hit the Promethean Princess against Fire King. You hit the Garunix. This was a 2 of and wasn't as good as Bell, but now with Voiceless entering the chat, this is mandatory 3 of, in my opinion. And then Rescue Ace is still a deck, so dodging targeting effects. Plus, there are random rogue decks that have targeting. That actually puts up on negates. So these are very crucial to still run. So 3 droplets and it gets stuff in graveyard too, like your names out of hand if you don't draw anything random. So yeah. Moving on. 3 Cosmic, because this card is legit Regeki plus back removal all in one. Because against Fire King, it's Regeki, and then against random rogue decks or Labyrinth, it's just back row removal. It goes right through protection of the Sanctuary. This will out Runic. It's just very, very good. What else? Let me see. And then the last 3 is Summon Limit. Don't cook me on my rarities mixed match. I'm sorry. I didn't buy into this card when Rarity Collection came out. I lost my other Ultras. So I'm a peasant and have an Ultra and 2 commons that are, one's very old and one's new. That's why the coloring is different. But this card literally just wins games. It literally just wins games. It's better than Anti-Spelling right now, in my personal opinion. Yeah, you set this up with Babel, IP, and then Galatea, and then whatchamacallit, Engraved, Dingirsu Engraved. You're just not losing that game. You're just not. This card just destroys the format. Probably will get hit. And it should get hit. Other than that is it for the list. I really like this list, card for card, side deck and all. Typically, it takes me a while to get like a 2.0 list on any of my decks. That's why a lot of the times you see me repeating the same like deck profiles, updates, and stuff throughout the formats, whether it's like 2 or 3 different profiles of the same deck. It's because it's like it's a work in progress. The first one's typically a hypothesis where I think it's going to go or what it is at that time. And then the second time is the permanent list. And then if something drastic changes, then I make a 3.0 list. That's basically how I do my profiles for my channel. Other than that, this deck has a very good matchup against literally everything right now. It doesn't care about Shifter as long as you don't open Horus. As long as you open Girsu, you don't care about Shifter or anything like that. So other than that, you have a good matchup against literally everything. A very good matchup against Labyrinth and stuff too, which is weird because it's a back row deck. But non-target send is a problem against Lady and Lovely. So other than that, if you are new to the deck, then please consider hitting the subscribe button and subscribe. Bell notification so you never miss an upload, because I'm going to be making a video about how to play the deck and stuff like that too. So whether it's this deck or just any kind of Orcust and how it works, what the cards do, etc., etc. And and then probably do some combo test hands in the same video. But other than that, I love you guys so much. Again, if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification, never miss an upload. Check the description for all the ways to support your boy. Patreon, Discord, merch store, affiliate link for TCG Player. You can go get your beautiful cards from TCG Player with zero cost to you. Just gives me a kickback because your boy Drip sent you there. Other than that, I love you all so much, and keep wrecking the meta with the best deck. Dark Machines, baby. Orcust. It's your boy Brendan, a.k.a. Drip from Team D.D. Sign out till next time. Peace. Good dueling, my guys.